For joining us. We are going to start it up. That's for you. Yeah, that one's for you. All right, everybody, I'm going to call this meeting to order the Downtown Advisory Board. First up on the agenda, we're going to look at the minutes from October minutes. The time to look at the minutes and we can someone make a motion to approve the minutes or make any changes. Second, thank you. Armin on the second. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Minutes are approved. All right, public comment. Anyone in the room or on the call interested in public comment? All right, thank you. Next up is the agenda in front of you. I believe everyone has the agenda. Take a quick look at that. Again, a motion to approve the agenda as presented or make any changes to the agenda.
I think we need to approve the agenda.
Thank you. There's a second on that?
Second.
All right, thank you, John. All in favor of approving the agenda as presented? Any opposed? Awesome, thank you. We go right into new business, Dogwood parking lot,
Yes.
hotel. All right, take it away.
Throwback from a few years ago, right when in 2019, 2020. So we brought this up to the Economic Vitality Committee that this was something that was going to be coming up. Just for some of the new folks around, a little bit of historical information. So leading up to 2019, 2020, the city had, and Lou and Don, correct me on anything, the city had done an RFP for hotel development, and they looked at several locations for possible hotel sites, one being the Gray Mill, which that didn't work out for the hotel, worked out great for the apartments. But then narrowed down on the Dogwood parking lot for hotel development because the city owns that. That's the one, just across the street from the church over there. Part of that was in coordination with the parking garage, but they weren't a all or nothing type of deal. So the garage was still able to be built, all to be narrowed down to right before COVID. A hotel was under contract, right, to purchase the property and develop. And then with COVID happening, and then the two other hotels that were brought to the city on private property, one being the Cedars and the other being a few blocks down by the Curb Market, the city took a pause on that. But then recently we've had more folks who've had some interest in that lot, and so we're looking to repost that RFP. And like I said, this is going to the Downtown or Economic Vitality Committee. One part of that will be important for this group is looking at expanding the municipal service district, so the MSD, to that, which was a part of our downtown master plan as well. So it would be able to get that area included in the tax district and also make improvements there all the way up to North Main, where the inns are and Cedars are, to make that all feel more like it's a part of downtown. And I'm gonna let Lou or John bring up anything else that you'd like to have to the group.
I'll jump in. It even goes back a little further than what, Jamie talked about the hotel process. It actually goes back to 2008 or 9. Some of you may remember the city did a study regarding the idea. The original idea for the mill site was a convention center or civic center of some type. And even before that, it was an arts and entertainment venue, if you remember. But when we did the study for the convention center, the thing that was said is you need a downtown hotel to support any kind of convention or business. So since that point, that kind of led into the other iterations of trying to attract a downtown hotel, which has been a goal of the city and the city council in the downtown for a number of years, with the idea that if we have a downtown hotel, then it may lend itself to have really all, it may lend itself for off-season meetings and, you know, having more folks in the downtown, particularly in the off-season. And to have people here during the main season too, particularly. So that being said, as Jamie said, we went through the process, selected a developer, didn't go, and then the other two projects came behind it. Only one of the three made it. And so we went silent as it relates to building a hotel. Even had some plans or discussed, the council at some point had a discussion about putting up a park at the Dogwood lot. Went through that. But here in the last year or so, we've had a couple of different folks reach out. Yeah, are you interested? And with different projects. And so we thought, well, we still need a downtown hotel. Looks like the Cedars is not going to be a traditional hotel. It will be condo with lockout rooms, which will be, they do include some meeting space in the current design that we've seen. The current design that you have. And so we started with some interest. We knew there was some local interest still. We had some out of town interest. We're like, well, the safest way to do this is to put a request for proposal that gives the city some control over design. What we did previously and we'll do again is enter into a development agreement. If we like any of the proposals, we'll then proceed and negotiate into a development agreement where we'll negotiate price, we'll negotiate infrastructure improvements, things that city can spend money on to support the hotel, whether that is streetscape, whether that's water, sewage. That's the easy stuff we can do under the law. And so the plan is to put the RFP out. We presented it to the city council just last week, and they approved it, but our plan is to put it out December 15th. Run it because of the holidays for 60 days. We'll do some direct solicitation of people who have shared interest in the past, and who anybody that was interested, we kind of a list of 3 or 4 people that have shared interest. We'll send that and ask them to submit proposals and see what we get. Things that we'll think about is how it blends architecturally, how it blends with the greater community. Typically talking to our previous what we saw previously in the previous development agreement and now you're looking at a boutique style, 80 to 100 rooms, 120 rooms, not much more than that on that site. One thing we have going for us now that we didn't the last time is we do have the parking deck available. It's constructed, so we know there's capacity in the deck for parking, which will help with flexibility with our current leases in the Dogwood lot and potential hotel customers down the road. And the idea is that we would provide a, mid-scale boutique type hotel for folks that, may come to stay to ride the Coosa Trail. We may come just to want to stay downtown with our restaurants and our stores. And if the convention space continues to be part of the Cedars, this is an alternative then to backfill what's going on at the Cedars. So that is our proposal. City council can at any point walk away and say, no, we're not going to do this. I know it's not what we're looking for and start over or delay or whatever the case may be. But since we had at least 2 or 3 people we knew who were interested, we thought we'd put it out there, see if we could get a higher and better use of that lot other than just parking. And parking is a good use, but we think like we may have other alternatives for that. So
How much parking is in the parking garage? Since thought.
152.
How much?
152 spaces.
Okay, because you're saying maybe 80 to 120 rooms, plus taking up the parking that's already on that lot. Well, of course, the 80 to 100 rooms aren't full every single day.
that's right. And there's still, even with the earlier design, there's still some parking available on site.
Oh, so they'll
So
build.
we've done a
some.
couple of
Maybe.
mock-ups and layouts there. there's still some parking there, yeah. So,
You say boutiques are not a chain.
well, it could very easily, previously, it was a Marriott brand. We feel like a lot of the Marriotts, the Hiltons, I forget what Holiday Inn is, but IHG, I think, they have, most of them now have a boutique brand
Yeah.
that, it costs their selected brand. So, it could typically, we suspect it'll be a brand that has the reservation network that if you're a Marriott customer and it's a boutique brand that's part of Marriott, you'll be able to get in through Bonvoy and everything else. Same for Hilton, same for whoever. So,
Did any of those early proposals have a parking deck included, like underground or ground floor?
not on the Dogwood lot. Well, we looked at it on the Dogwood lot, and that's a great question, Oliver. We looked at it. Typically that for the number of rooms or keys, 80 makes it financially harder to put a deck.
The RFPs and the modeling that we did with DFI at that time was you can do a deck on the lot with Dogwood, but the city's gonna have to subsidize the deck. The development won't be able to carry the deck.
And the hotel that was behind the historic courthouse showed a deck, or underneath parking or something that,
It shows like kind of something comparable to what the bank has.
yeah, yeah.
Like a single level.
But it never got built.
Obviously, that parking lot holds a lot of employees and staff for Main Street. Is in the plan, is there a new lot or a new space that we would be able to get a monthly permit? Because I know the parking deck can't account all of that.
Yeah.
And then that lot's full.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sold out if I'm not mistaken.
It is sold out, but very rarely are all the spaces utilized. So, and the answer to your question is yes, we know that if we put a hotel there, we're gonna have to replace that parking somewhere. And maybe more central located. We've got the lot's been appraised. We cannot give the property away in North Carolina, so it has to be bought with the idea. I think the idea is that we would take that money and look to replace that parking somewhere else with that money that we're.
In the downtown area.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean-
That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the first guy to talk about parking, my first concern would be, my first question would be that. So let's say this project goes off and you have a well-known brand, a quality brand downtown. It's gonna be busy. It's gonna be full. It's gonna, and especially going forward, I think it's gonna be, it'll be a well-attended property. And, again, parking, if that hotel is using the city garage exclusively for parking. I'd be like, well, is that sustainable in the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan with the amount of spaces that we have available? I've seen some projects where they have some surface parking and they'll have access like a valet, basically a level in a garage that's a valet, type of service for folks. But, what would be the net loss of, like, how many spaces are right now in that lot that we're utilizing?
About 150, I think.
I think something like that. I don't know exact numbers.
But I will, it depends on time of year for the deck too, right? I mean, it's 252 and
Right.
depends on time of year. I mean, it's not consistently full either.
And all the things that we think about when thinking about parking too, are, when usage is occurring. Right now the parking deck gets most of its use during the daytime. Hotel parking is kind of typically overnight.
Sure.
We're not fully utilizing the deck by a long shot.
Okay.
I mean, we might be 15, 18, 20% average occupancy in there, so it's not
Okay.
enough.
All right.
It needs more occupancy. So I think the thing that we've really talked a lot about is the existing employee parking resource that we have at Dogwood and having some real clear paths forward for what we're, potentially gonna be doing to offset the impact to those employees.
Yeah, because that's a great rate, $25 a month.
Right.
I mean, it's not gonna be.
And that was a big part of the discussion when we did the garage.
Right,
when we did
exactly.
On-street parking and all of those things. So I don't think there's no lack of clarity around that being a very important asset that has to continue in some form. Whether it's physically located in that same location or whether there's some way. I mean, the lot appraised for a good number, so it's not unreasonable for us to envision, that being able to have some solution. Are we allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, because it'll be,
I think it appraised for $3 million, so, it's not an insignificant amount. It gives us something.
So how much acreage is that? Is it over an acre?
acre and a half.
Yeah, we're.
Yeah, right.
But what, this is all started because hotels have contacted you again, or because we'd like to sell, and get 4.3 million to build it elsewhere, or?
Yeah, you got the appraisal.
After that.
No, I mean, the whole thing with going out with an RFP.
No, people started contacting us, and I'll be honest with you, we have this parking deck that has capacity, and
We're not using.
I want it full.
And
And
in addition to that, I think the hotel downtown has been, I've been here for over a decade, talking about a hotel design. And I think we continue to think that it would be an asset for the downtown and that it will, we're ready for one. We have a destination, particularly with some of the more recent additions that
And then another part of it is with the Cedars not necessarily being full on hotel, more of those condos, but they're going to have this event space that will allow for meetings, events, but maybe not necessarily because it's the condos having the room amounts. And so having that overflow just a couple blocks north of it would be a nice added bonus.
They must know you're going out for an RFP. Shipman or the Cedars, or will they be thinking that they're the hotel, even though it's mostly condos over at Cedars? And of course, it's not built yet.
yeah, I think they went forward when there was two other hotels. Because they got approval about the same time as our previous plus the courtyard, or courthouse. So, yes, they will be aware of it like everybody else.
Well, especially if the new project is a upper middle concept, the Fairmont property is definitely a higher level concept. So it's going to attract a different traveler. There's no doubt about that. If you're looking to stay at a Fairmont, you're at a certain level, versus a Hilton brand or a Marriott brand property. So
To be clear, the parking deck agreement would be fee-based.
Yes,
In other words, the city is not contributing this to.
the way the deck is financed, we cannot give parking spaces away. It would have to be some fee based
Okay.
to help cover the cost. So, yes.
So
Oh, go ahead.
that comes back to the city. So whatever fee the hotel
Yeah, it would,
charges
Yeah.
the user, it comes back to the city.
it would.
That goes to debt service on the deck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then have you guys talked about any kind of bonus program restrictions to make sure the deck or the new hotel gets built in a reasonable amount of time? And we don't have another crane in the sky for 3 years?
We hadn't gotten that far yet, so we hadn't gotten that far. We are somewhat limited. There's not a lot of things like that in North Carolina that you can do as a local government. A lot
Or
of,
you can bonus though, like we get done by a certain date. X amount of money gets taken off or bonus to us. Can you not do that like a
no,
project
we
bonus?
can't in North Carolina. We can't use government money to do that. Cannot do that anymore.
Chris could definitely speak to this, but I know a lot of the hotels at this level are built pretty quickly. They're pretty efficient as far as building like new construction. Unless there's other setbacks, but I know the Cedars project has had lots of other complications with it, but
We can do incentives on it if it's our project, if we own it and everything, but if it's somebody else's.
So we'll be selling the land for them to build a hotel on. cetera.
So if this gets displaced, is there a place you're looking at that could expand the Main Street district? Or like a direction you could go in where, you know, say the lot sells and you get a good offer, could we maybe build a parking lot somewhere else?
Oh, yeah, we would start identifying property. Preferably, probably, we could talk about it, preferably probably on Church Street somewhere, but we would look for parking, absolutely.
The south end too, particularly with the, yeah.
There's space like near the ABC store, I think. Does the city own that property, like where the Chamber of Commerce is?
But
that looking in that direction.
So it goes out on the 15th, huh?
And what is the scope of the oversight the city has with the developer? Is it just, what is the scope of that oversight as far as design?
so if we enter a development agreement, then first of all, we own the property, and by doing it this way versus just putting the property on the market, there's a couple different options you get. One, we can just put the property on the market and the highest bidder gets it, and all they gotta do is meet basically zoning standards, basically our minimum zoning standard. By doing it this way, we are a partner in the project. We will bring certain infrastructure, amenities, allow us to negotiate on price some. We can't give it away, but there is some flexibility because we will be part of the development partners. It'll be a development agreement. It'll be a 3-part public-private partnership. And it allows us to have more control over design, more control over, okay, we want to, where the traditional interstate model may say, we want a hotel built this way. We'll say, no, why don't we move it closer to the street? We'll negotiate. We have the opportunity to negotiate amenities.
Right.
And a little more direct involvement.
And I think that's super important because our city is changing very rapidly and skyline is changing. And I'm sure a lot of people will be very interested in how this property looks, how it fits in with all that.
Especially if we extend the downtown zoning areas to fit into that, they'd have to still abide by more downtown rules, right?
Yeah. The height ordinance is in play. Which is always a common part of the conversation. And then we have the downtown master plan now. How does it blend with the downtown master plan? That's part of the context.
So I know Jamie can speak to some of the work that's being done around that. We've started, just so you all are aware of that, with the downtown master plan and the design guidelines. The planning staff are working with the downtown staff, Jamie, to look at how to move some of that.
Is the city hoping they want to keep the land and just let a hotel build on top of it? Because if you're doing it this way.
So there may be a couple different options. Preferably, it would be a development agreement that runs with the land. And this is what we did with the Gray Mill, where we have a development agreement. We ended up selling the land, but the development agreement stays in place, and there's an agreement about this is what you're going to develop, this is how you're going to develop it, and these are the conditions. And so we were able to turn that into, in that case, we ended up loaning the developer some money that now all has been paid back plus a $50,000 premium. So we kind of closed that project out completely, and that money we have extra money that'll be reinvested in affordable housing. But the idea is we'll have an agreement. So typically we'll do this by selling the property. There's been some mention of doing a land lease. Our attorneys are reviewing whether that's legal in North Carolina for us to do that, because we have to get a fair market value out of it in North Carolina. But anyway, ideally we sell it with a development agreement that says it's going to be built with these standards, this architectural look, so forth and so on.
John, how does the appraisal on the garage compare to replacement costs for similar garage somewhere else in town? The downtown area?
So, I mean, my guess is this is a market rate appraisal, John, so I think it is probably pretty close to what, I mean, the idea was this is what, if we were on the market, this isn't discounted because it's government property. This is on the market. This is what if you wanted to buy this acreage anywhere else in downtown based on the comps. This is what it would appraise for. So for those of you who own property or know people that own property, we've got an updated appraisal to tell you what it is worth, so per acre, so.
And it's a lot more than it was
Oh,
a
yes,
few years ago.
yes, it's over $1 million.
So I remember the last time around, we had a good amount of pushback from local innkeepers and B&Bs about the idea of a new hotel coming downtown. Has that been discussed, or how does council, like, so council is in favor of this, for sure. And then I just,
Well,
I would expect that the same.
They are in favor at this point, cautiously, they're in favor of going forward with the RFP to see.
Right.
At this point, the beauty of this is we can, and we don't want to waste anybody's time, right? I mean, that's our idea is we're going to go forward, but they know there's some questions to be answered down the road is, can we sell the property for a value that allows us to replace the parking? Where do we replace the parking? How does it impact the deck, and what value does it bring to the downtown? So all those are in play. But I think that's accurate, right? I mean, they're not gonna, if they don't feel comfortable that it's not gonna bring value to the downtown, they can back up. It's not the plan, but they can.
Having the overnight deck capacity was something I hadn't really, that, I mean, you guys understand the uses of that deck a lot more than I do, but yeah, having overnight, you know, most of your check-ins are gonna be 4 to 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know in other cities, like in Greenville, for example, like the city decks, I mean, you still pay even though you're staying at the hotel. It's not necessarily, so it doesn't have to necessarily go to the hotel. It can just be 24-hour overnight maximum parking fee for using the deck for overnight.
That's what we've got. It's $10 daily max.
Yeah.
And
That resets at like 3 a.m. So theoretically, they probably would be paying.
I think in our prime parking is really 10, 30, 11 to 3, really. I mean, if you're on Main Street,
Yeah, when there's not an event happening.
it's not an event, day in and day out, 3:30. You know, there could be some folks that come back for, you know, you got the dinner crowd, but it doesn't. You don't have all the pressure. You don't have all the pressure.
Yeah.
I think the garage has maybe 50 permits, 50 or so permits sold,
What are the monthly
There's good-
fee on the deck permits?
80.
Would it be a possibility, depending on how the timing works out, and money changing hands, identifying a property for to replace the downtown parking from Dogwood, that there could be a discounted rate at the garage?
Yeah, we already talked through some of that.
For a number of months.
yeah.
Until something else is available.
Yeah, either that or there might even, we'd have to figure out the numbers or everything. There might be a way to make the rates a more reasonable amount because, you know, we're getting more guaranteed coming in from the hotel. So there's a lot of different ways to make it to where it's not like, because I know come from like 25 to 80 for employees, like crazy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that we wouldn't be doing that at all.
And as you guys know, like the majority of the
Yeah.
time that garage uses during the day. I mean, it's quite often it's packed. There's not a space available. Now come 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts lighting up. 6 a.m. There's nobody in there, but
Yeah.
the majority of the day, that's where everyone. Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a good amount of people are parking.
And council's very conscious of that and very conscious of the employees.
Do you track electric charge station usage in the garage?
I don't know what we do with.
I know that they have to pay for it, but I don't know the specifics on how regularly it's used.
Wondering if you had enough, and then would that increase the usage of the garage if you had more of those in there?
Yeah. mhm.
There's always someone with Dogwood lots.
And we had looked before about making the top floor of the garage a lower rate for permits. So we could have more of that lower cost parking, but then it loses like 10 spaces. But to be able to put an extra gate in at the top to regulate that. And so I don't know that, I'm not necessarily interested in doing that and losing those spaces. But we've talked about a lot of different ways to do that. But I think number one is we'd have to buy another lot to offset some of it, because we're completely separate from any of that, but we're losing a good amount of what's free parking from the county with the courthouse construction and all of that, which is stuff we've just kind of taken advantage of for a while. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I know that's a big parking spot for a lot of
Mhm.
more line level staff on Main Street. I know a lot of business owners tell their employees to parking lot.
Yeah. And we're always interested in if there's private lots that wants to talk to us about making their lots available for permits. So just keep that in mind if you're ever talking to anyone.
With the city's input on the development of this potential hotel, do you have say on green space on the property? Like, can we say you have to have a certain amount of green space on in your development?
There would be like zoning standard basics, and then the development agreement really basically kind of acts like a condition zoning, so we could ask for negotiate things like that. Yeah.
I just, so I hear a lot of, in our shop, I hear a lot of regulars coming in, and all they talk about is green space. That's all they want is green space.
You know,
I don't know if you guys hear that a lot as well.
I mean, yeah. John, you were gonna say.
we talk about it a lot. We talk about, we'd like to have more green space down there. I mean, that is an option. Typically, that may be the way we incentivize that is with the developer, if it works within their plan, that it's part of their property, but we maintain it. We use, I mean, that's been done in other locations, that it's part of the development. The city, buys down that cost from the developer, helps put that space. It becomes amenity for the hotel, but also is an amenity that's open to the public. So that's some of the flexibility we get with the development agreement, that instead of buying all acre and a half, they buy acre and a quarter. And this, I'm just spitballing. We have, and the city continues to own a quarter of it, but it's out front. We make it a big lawn. The hotel can use it, but also the public can.
All right, well, thank you, gentlemen, for the update on that. Is there any more conversation about that project? Question for John?
I have one more question. You said it's gonna be proposed on the 15th.
So this will hit the street. We will direct, electronically mail it to the developers that we know have some interest. We'll also publish it on our website, and put out a notice that it'll be available on the 15th for general public, and then it's 30 days. Proposals are due February 15th.
And is it up for debate at all with citizens in Hendersonville City, or is this kind of something that is more of city plan that I'm just wondering, so that if I have questions, is this something more the city's planning on doing this, and
So
is it zoned for commercial? Or will it need to be rezoned?
You won't.
yes,
So, the development agreement will at some point require a public hearing. Yep. So much in the same way that a rezoning would require a public hearing before city council, this would as well. It wouldn't go to the planning board the way a rezoning would, and there's base zoning on the property that would allow for some amount of commercial mixed use development already, and probably not. But the development agreement and the adoption of that also triggers a public hearing. So there'd be, that would all happen likely. I mean, the 60-day window is February. There'll be some amount of staff review, some amount of discussion with council, and sort of do we like any of these? And then if there is one which is preferred, then it would go through public process for the council.
But nothing,
You guys are different.
but nothing's set in stone until a development agreement's approved, council approves it, public hearing, those kind of things. This is just the beginning process to see if these folks are really interested or whether it's, no sense wasting time. They're not really.
So picking a winner is not strictly a monetary comparison.
The beauty of this process is we pick it on what's the best property. Get it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody moving along. Seaman staff reports.
Thank you.
So, some of y'all are looking at this Placer report that I've got out. So a couple of years ago, we had paid for subscription for Placer. But then, it was very expensive. It was very expensive, but very useful. But now the state Main Street program will do some reports for us on occasion that we can't do individual businesses like I was doing when I had the paid version. But they were able to pull one for us just of the Main Street MSD. And so I just wanted to have that for everybody just to it's just kind of some visitation data because I was interested in how this year compared to 2024. And so felt pretty encouraged by that. The 2024 said 2.1 million visits, where it was a dip down, and then it's back up to what it was in 2023. So that was an encouraging number to see. Just having that as just some information, just folks to take a look at. I've asked them to do a couple other events as far as traffic to come, just to have some updated numbers for it. But I can't really ask for a lot of specific stuff because it's not me doing it. It's just kind of beggars can't be choosers on all the information that I get for it. Anybody have any questions on any of that?
How do they gather this data?
It's from cell phone data. So it's like just like if your phone has any app that like has location enabled, it basically gets all of it together and then reports it back out. And then definitely has a bit of a algorithm. So it's not like a 1-for-1 number. So like where it says panel visits on that first page, that's the actual number of cell phones that they tagged. But so that's 202,000 people, but then that's figured with some type of algorithm to get a estimate of a more accurate-ish number.
So the thing that jumps off this whole thing is that the visitors by origin zip code, the number one ranking location is Dana.
Well,
Is there anything but apple trees out there?
well, if it's 28792 is the zip code for here too. So I think it's probably a pretty broad.
They're cheating a
code.
little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that's just Dana. I think that's probably one of our biggest. zip codes.
Number two is a bit surprising, although it's a lot more people out there and
Yeah.
than going out into the country.
So these are visitors, but that would be people that work downtown.
Well, yeah.
Every
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
visitors.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell from that graphic what color is what. I assume, I think that one's probably just that biggest closest zip code.
How long did we have that service for? A year?
We had it for a year,
Is it 21?
It ended, it actually didn't cut me off for a couple extra months, but it ended right after the hurricane last year.
23 to 24.
Yeah, I just wanted to get an update from the state. I was just kind of curious to see what our traffic was looking like, how people were kind of worried after the hurricane and all of that, but encouraging to see.
At the back on visit journey, what is visit Hendersonville? Are they only
Probably the visitor center, yeah, the visitor center.
Well, it's not the number of visitors, it's what they're spending.
Yeah,
That's been the input.
yeah. Second or two other things I had were, I sent out about our volunteer party on the 17th. So if you haven't or would like to attend, please RSVP. It's gonna be at Osceola Lake Inn. They've sponsored us for a lot of our events this year, so we're glad to have it over there. And then the Economic Vitality Committee, I had brought up that, we've got a lot of new businesses in the last few years, and a lot of them, even though like, well, they're on our newsletter and everything, they aren't necessarily always kind of clued in on what is going on or what this board does and what kind of resources there are available. And so I've been thinking, and with the Economic Vitality Committee too, thinking about doing doing this as an annual thing, some type of like a breakfast event once a year that kind of lets us kind of do an overview of what we do, and then also have some folks from like the TDA and Chamber and Small Business Center just to kind of just introduction on that. And I'd also like to have a time where it's like some of our more seasoned business owners and probably board members to do like a little bit of a panel of like I've been a business owner downtown for a while. These are things that, are good for me to do or things that I've learned. And this also kind of stood out to me after our holiday events. Like the old fashioned Christmas we had on Friday, where more than half of our stores were closed.
What?
More than half, I'd say. And I made a list of all of them. And so I won't some of these things are done for the purpose of supporting businesses being open and, giving a time where it's an event where the street's not closed, it's specific for retail. And for the retail to not be open during it.
Do they not understand that do they not?
I don't know. And so I'm thinking that maybe if it's here and get as a panel of some of their peer businesses rather than me saying, oh yeah, just stay open later, when they say, well, you don't understand, you don't have employees to do that. They're like, well,
Are these newer businesses that aren't open?
no, I don't know. It seems like the newer ones, or the newer ones are more restaurants anyway, but the newer ones and the ones that were open and there were newer ones did well. Like when you walk up and down the street, the businesses that were open were busy.
They were shopping, those people.
Yeah. And I heard from a lot of just hearing people down the street, and Terry heard it too, where many people were like, gosh, I can't believe these stores aren't open. And I mean, embarrassing for them, I'd almost say more than anything. But that was kind of my side of another reason why I feel like having some kind of annual.
Yeah, but I mean, the city pays a lot of money for the ice sculpture and I don't know if you pay to rent the horse and carriage.
Mhm.
That the city should quit doing it if the businesses aren't going to stay open.
Yeah.
This is what, till,
We get money from the TDA to be able to do it.
till from what?
5 to 8.
5 to 8, 1 day.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, since you're talking about events, the cookie thing, at least from the perspective of Art Place Gallery, we had so many people who did, first time they'd ever been in the 7th Street District. You probably heard it too, Phil. But and a lot of people left their little passports.
Mhm.
I think it's over 200 passports.
Yeah, and that's with the business participation. So anyway, that's all kind of just to put that out there. It's a Thursday morning, January 29th. If that date looks okay, I'm thinking about doing it over at the City Operations Center. So that way it's got the sound system and everything there. And that date was a date that worked for the TDA to be there. Just if anybody had any thoughts on that.
I say it all the time when I drive down Main Street, why aren't these places open? I don't have a business on Main Street. But it is kind of disheartening that you put all these boards together, all these committees and everything else to try to help all the businesses. And it's like, you can't help somebody that don't want to be helped.
Mhm.
And it doesn't seem like they really want to be helped.
I will say there are a lot of business owners on Main Street that I talk to and they are, they're family-owned businesses. They want to work 9 to 5 or whatever it is, and that's what they want to do.
I think that's why we all got in this. None of us like being told what to do.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of them are not here to be wealthy or to expand. They're here just to have a business that provides for their family, and that's it.
Maybe it should be a daytime event then.
There's no Christmas lights on like during the day and like
Yeah.
But there's no business open that night.
on Fridays, people work during the day.
I know for us, we stay open till 6 o'clock on that night. Until this year and a little bit of last year, it has gotten busier. But in the past, it's definitely in a point of reviving
Mhm.
the old time Christmas, if I'm not mistaken, because it was very big a few years ago. But we're at the point where we don't see a lot of people coming into our shop, especially between 4 and 6. We have some people that do come in at 6, but I don't think a lot of people are there to drink lattes at 8 o'clock at night. I would suppose they're more into going to the retail stores and buying gifts and ornaments and things like that. We did discuss this year about staying open later next year, or maybe just having a table outside where we sell some hot chocolate and coffee. But I think, I know a lot of the pushback, especially from smaller businesses, is that they don't want to do it.
We certainly have to apply logic to your business
Mhm.
decisions. I completely understand. Obviously, we close, 2 days or 3 days a week, but I do think that when there are events, right, that are designed to boost business in general, I'd have my doors open, right, for that period of time. Whether I sold anything or not, I can go an entire day, without selling anything. So, but the support and just the lights on, that thing, I think is very important to the vibe of the street.
And the tree lighting night is another one too, where like I walked up and down the street after the tree lighting and the Emporium was open and they were packed in there, but really nowhere else was. The business, but retail wise, so only a few were, and the ones that were busy. And that's something that like during the holiday times, that's when stores, you make the money to get through the rest of the year. And so anyway, that just kind of has stuck out to me in particular.
And
Yeah.
some of the business owners that are open during those times can help.
Yeah, that,
Change their mind to be like, it's only 2 nights a year, like,
Yeah.
Right.
it's 2 nights a year.
and during the holiday time where if you're a retail, that's kind of December's the name of the game for that.
You can't sell it then, you're gonna sell
Yeah, any other time of the year, yeah. And
What was the date again?
January 29th, in the morning, and I'll talk with some of y'all about doing like a little panel, because I'd gone to one with the chamber where they had, it was like a small business panel, and it was just good to hear it from other business owners with that. Yeah, so those are the only couple of things I wanted to touch on.
You gonna send out an email about that? Or
Yeah.
How are we proposing on letting other businesses know about that?
I was gonna check with y'all today, see if that date works, and then,
I volunteered to be on the
Mhm.
panel.
yeah, and then we'll send it out to the businesses to do like a RSVP.
They'll be happy to go around and let people know. as well.
Yeah, once we kind of get that put together, because that's like just at least like, and try to figure out marketing it to where they really feel like this is something,
Mhm.
my one thing a year to come to, kind kind of thing. And I want it to be more of like informative and a panel and not too much time of like,
Griping.
yes, pretty much. Because then that just leaves people, like, I want people to leave like thinking about, you know,
Why
things I can do with my business and not like what I'm mad about kind of thing. Yeah, so more to come on that. Yeah, so those are all I had on those kind of particular things, and I know we're running low on time. And Aaron, I don't know if you want to real quick touch on about the Economic Vitality Committee.
Economic Vitality, this week we met with an organization called Love and Respect that is over on Chadwick Avenue. They are a homeless resource. And that's kind of narrow. They're everything kind of resource. They're a first point of contact. They're a resource network. So if somebody has a specific need, they can't meet it, they can tell them where to go. And they're working on I think it's a legal term, what they call respite, which is a no barrier shelter facility overnight. And they're pretty close to doing that within the first part of the year is their goal, like January. They handed out a bunch of pamphlets to us. We have those and we met with them. They offer business training, de-escalation training, which is basically like how to approach somebody that makes you nervous and ask them to leave without, you know, having to involve the police if you don't want to, or if you want to avoid that, hopefully. But it was a really nice conversation. It was really good meeting with them. They're a 501c3. They've only got like 8 employees right now, but they're looking to do kind of 24/7 services is their goal. Right now they're just 9 to 5, but it was really nice to meet with them, and they're a really good resource to have access to.
Do they have a storefront?
Mhm.
Yeah, on 7th or what?
Chadwick.
And on
Chadwick? Okay.
It was an exceptional
Mhm.
discussion and very enlightening, I think, for the committee, but because I don't think any of us had any idea
That would be a good thing for,
what they were doing, and it's very, very positive for the city to have something like this developing these resources and services and connections.
How big is the space?
And the enthusiasm was off the charts.
Yeah.
So, I was really impressed.
It's a recovery program where, like, to be in it, you have to have the certification of like you're a recovery addict yourself. I forget what it's called, but there's a program and they're all in it, they're all a part of it. And they made a point to divide, like they call it a strong hand and a soft hand approach, the strong hand being the government, legislation, police, and everything else. So they were saying it's important to pursue that. We're going to do everything else that we can do in our power. It's just meeting people, talking with them, and then network, resource network connection, stuff like that.
So I wasn't part
I
of
think
that.
the thing that touched me the most is if you want them to come out and meet with your staff and teach your staff how to talk with people like that, they're more than willing to come out and talk to your staff. I thought that was
30-minute spiel, she'll train people, she calls it de-escalation training.
is that something you'd let the business owners downtown and all on 7th, et cetera, know about?
Yeah, because I didn't know about much of what they did really till last week's meeting either. Because they were originally going to come to this meeting, but then they had some scheduling problems, so they came to last week's meeting. And so once we get, I'd asked them for more of their brochures. I haven't gotten them yet because they're out of town this week. And so that's another thing that I'd want to have for when we do like that breakfast, like just resource information about what they've got. Because after that meeting, the meeting last week, we had several who wanted to have them come and do that little de-escalation training and introduction and all of that. So I think that'll be kind of the next step on that.
And they are connected lockstep with the city already.
Mhm.
So they've got that channel for working back and forth and including the police department. So they're embedded.
I wasn't part of last week's meeting, but I was fortunate enough to meet with them a couple of months ago and I found out about them for the first time. It was just like the light bulb moment, you know what I mean? Like, wow, this is an amazing group of people with like amazing objective.
Huh.
So we have been promoting them and contributing towards their efforts, and we're going to continue with that. So I think this is a group you're going to hear more and more about because they've got a lot of momentum, and it's also, I think there's definitely a genuine need for their services in our directly in our
And
community.
it's just called Love and Respect.
Yeah. We also learned that the city now has a social worker on staff.
He's hired there. Staff.
With hopes of adding like interns or.
Yeah, that it all started so last year they had an intern with the Western Carolina social work program. And that intern kind of got the program going to get to the point where they could hire a full-time social worker with the idea that they'll annually have that social worker intern. So that'll be a person that can help kind of supplement the social worker that's on staff. And they just started a couple months ago, so they're still kind of figuring their way out.
You and I talked about this numerous times, but the homeless population, the mental illness population, it's tangible. It's here. It's in our community. It's on Main Street. And it's on 7th, and it's not going anywhere. So having more resources for these folks, and also like working more with business owners and their impact, what they can do, what we can do. I mean, I had an experience just last week. We had an individual on the property, and we kind of went through kind of an assessment thing instead of just calling the cops.
Mhm.
And I actually didn't call the cops, but from previous years, I might have called the cops on this gentleman. But we did an assessment thing, and I actually worked with two of my employees to kind of like say, this is how we should be handling the situation, and I don't know what I'm doing. So to work with this group some more about that, as far as other businesses that are impacted, and we're all impacted on some level, whether you're 7th or on Main Street, you know, I mean, and a lot of the time it's more of like, if we have the time to assess the situation before you just call the police out.
Yeah, and they have a van that's fully
So-
stocked that can come out and assist. And if somebody needs a bed or a tent or a cot, you know, they have all those things on that van that they'll come out and help people with.
9 times out of 10, it's a better use of the police's time.
Yeah, but they came to me and asked me for bread. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You can have all the bread you want. So, yeah, it's a great group, and we're gonna continue to promote them, and yeah, I couldn't be happier that they're.
They mentioned also that very soon, I think in January, they do that kind of like head count where they go out to the homeless camps. Very soon, that's like what they're gearing up for. There's only like 4 of them that do it. They're like, if anybody wants to volunteer, we can always use hands. This is the thing where you just go out there and you literally just, it's like a little census, and that determines the resources that they can then apply for from the government. So
Yeah.
that's going up in January.
I didn't really have anything other kind of pressing for today since we're getting close to that, or we're at an hour. So with community character, the public art is something that I'm still on, working on. I just haven't been able to get through it. And so it's
The bench coming.
bench has been coded.
Yeah.
And so they just picked it up today from Blue Ridge, so it should be out like in the next.
You mean it was painted and now coated?
Yeah, it's got the clear coat on it. And so that should be,
What corner is it going on?
gonna put it right where it's kind of got that bump out at Kilpatrick's. Gonna put it there. And so that's happened.
Yeah, right at the intersection of Locust.
Yeah. And it's very way that could always be moved if we ever decide we want to move it. I did not get the grant for the new benches, but I will reapply for that. It'll be due at the end of the month. So I'm going to resubmit for that for additional benches. And a couple just on events. The events committee did review our beverage costs at Rhythm and Brew, and we had a pretty detailed review and conversation of that. And that beer is fine. wine is making us lose money. And so we are going to increase the price of wine for Rhythm and Brews next year. Because
Be 2 tickets.
yeah, it'll be 2 tickets, which
It's easy.
yeah, and we've done that before. So we'll be going back to that because we were losing our shirts on wine.
Any more discussion about social districting?
Not currently. I think that will,
Oh, COVID is over. I was trying to scrape up some of the floor decals in the bakery that we put down and
they're not easy to come up.
I
Yeah.
walked by the old
People-
Playhouse on Main Street and I was like thinking to myself, I remember when she spray painted the sidewalk
Where was this?
in front of the old Playhouse on Main Street.
Oh,
Wild times.
right, well-
That's all I really had.
And Jamie, unless you have anything else or anyone in the room has anything else, I think we can skip to the permit.
I have a question, or maybe we can make time for the next meeting. So there's a grant that's out right now for 25,000, I think, open to anybody, as long as you know about this.
Oh, the budget.
Yeah,
yeah.
and people are talking a lot about it in our shop, and I've had probably 6 people come to me with their own personal ideas that they're applying for.
I thought it was in total. Is there a number of $25,000 grants?
I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, the bill.
Yeah.
window.
It's
One grant
It
that they
is.
had to divide up with something.
Well, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
So we've had some people come and ask, and a couple of them have included Main Street and Seventh Ave. And would it be a good suggestion if they were to propose that to this group, if they are very serious about it? Is that something you guys would be interested in hearing about? Because my view on it was that if they do get the grant for something that happens on Main Street or Seventh Ave, it'd probably be good to have some
I think,
backing behind.
and I'd have to see how they're doing that. I would think that if there's any projects that are proposed for Main Street, Seventh Avenue, it probably will end up not really being a part of
Us.
that, and then come to us to determine if that's something that we just want to have as a part of our budget for the districts. Because if it's something that we've already either had planned, or if it's something that like maybe we haven't thought of.
Like, for instance, one was to put signage down Main Street to direct bicycles and walkers, not a bicycle lane, but just signage,
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, I think that would be something that we would all be impacted by.
yeah, I would think that, and I can check on that, because I'm not exactly sure how they're planning to do it, but I would think that anything that would be in either of the districts would either come to us or kind of be pulled out of that and just put into us to consider as a part of our budget, but I can ask on that.
Hey, Jamie.
Gosh. Volume was high on that.
Surprise, here I am. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna be managing whatever the project is. So like the community is really just putting in the ideas.
Mhm, okay.
And then the city will take it up from there. So it's really, we're asking the community what they want us to spend the money on.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, so there might be some that are valid things that we,
That's good to know, because I'll relay that message, because I think some people think it's like they're coming up with the idea, they're putting it together, they're proposing it.
I guess it might depend on what the project is.
No.
Yeah, I think it probably does depend on what the project is, but I would feel like, wayfinding signs for bicyclists and pedestrians, like this board would definitely be involved because you'd have to approve the
Absolutely.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And the other question I had was, sorry to drag so long, one last question. When the Cedars, before they started their project, they did come and talk to this group about.
No.
Before, but they came and talked.
They came and gave an update at one point, but they didn't.
They came and talked to us about what they were gonna be doing.
Yeah, we had asked them to come just give, but it was after it was already.
I don't mean like asking
All that.
permission, they just came to us and was telling
Yeah.
us what they were doing. Is there any way that we could maybe ask them to come give us an update
Lindsay?
on what it is? Because this is, I mean,
Sorry, I was giggling to myself.
a lot of people that asked me about that project.
Gonna ask.
They've not come to us to give us an official update, so you know, when I get an update, I'll be happy to share it. I mean, we could ask them, but I don't know if they'll come out and give one. I'm not sure how big of an update they have at this moment.
We can always ask.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, everybody. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Bye.
Bye.